So, my sincere apologies. I recorded this video yesterday with the full intention of putting it up yesterday, and instead, what I ended up doing was filming a second video, which is the live recording of This Great Love, which, if you haven't seen, I will leave a link up there somewhere for you to find it. And I will also leave a link down below. Like I said, I will hopefully, by the time I've edited this, include a brief summary of all the songs that are in the playlist, and I will also include the playlist for any of you who use Apple Music. Good morning, folks, it's me, I'm back, and today I thought I'd talk about music, as it is a Music Friday, and Fridays are traditionally the day where new music comes out, and so I thought, why not talk about it? So, just to let you know, these kinds of things, if I'm ever talking about music, will be discoveries that I have made throughout the week, or I've made today, but they will generally either be new releases from that week, or they will be tracks that I have also discovered through other things. I tend to discover older music as well, so like on this one I have stuff from 2008 that I wasn't even aware of, and I think has recently been added to iTunes. I don't remember it being on Apple Music before this, so I'm just going to go through them, and I will probably leave an Apple Music playlist at the end just so you guys can see what I've added and a quick little recap of everything. So let's get to it. I apologize if I look at my phone a lot. I'm just kind of trying to work out what I have added. So my first track of the year and went in my 2021 playlist was Swoon, and this is by Ria May and Jocelyn Alice. They did a couple of collaborations last year that I missed out on. Ria May, I think, is probably most famous for the song Bend, which I absolutely love. She's also collaborated, I believe, with Tegan and Sarah. Then I have a track called 7-Eleven by Raina. Raina is again an artist that I was listening to last year. They have a song called Saw You With Somebody Else, and they do have a very Tegan and Sarah vibe, I'll be honest. That's all I will say. Dear 2020 by Tiffany Alvord. So I've listened to Tiffany Alvord for the last few years. I was introduced when I started watching YouTube, and I started watching all caps videos. All back when I started kind of just getting really into YouTube. So I've been following her for quite a while, and this new one is really nice. I really like it. I really like that she has this pop singer-songwriter vibe, but her voice is quite soft, and it's just really nice to listen to. Then we have, so I've discovered some Infernal. So you will probably remember Infernal from a fair few years back when they did a song called From Paris to Berlin. They've been releasing songs on and off. I found an album from 2008 that I don't think was added to Apple Music until this year. But the album is called Electric Cabaret, and that's quite interesting. But they've also released a song called Maria Magdalena, which I don't think it's too far of a reach to assume that that's Mary Magdalene, and it's been on repeat, which is, it's just interesting, the stuff that you end up putting on repeat and being like, oh, I really connect with this, I really like this. It's very dance, but it's very, I have this whole music video of it in my head, which, you know, maybe one day, maybe that's the job I should be doing. I just want to touch on this because I think it's an interesting point. So my idea of my music video for this song was, I was talking to my friends on our WhatsApp group chat about the idea that biblical figures and people in the media and people throughout history have had their achievements documented generally by male historians writing about them. And when I did film and TV, there's a particular theorist by the name Mulvey who talks about the male gaze, and I was thinking about that, and I was just like, do we only see Mary Magdalene as this seductive figure of wealth because mostly men have been portraying her? And I think it came out because a certain pope said it. I did Wikipedia it, so that may be wrong, but while I was thinking about that, I was like, this would be in a really nice video for someone from today to be, say, in the V&A or in a museum and be like thinking about all of these really important women. So maybe the Natural History Museum, maybe the British War Museum, but essentially thinking about all these women and thinking about their power. And I just had this like idea that if it was a group, then each one of them would play a certain role, or she would go from time period to time period, playing people like Cleopatra, Boudica, Mary Magdalene, great people who are generally associated with war, but they're also kind of, whenever they're depicted on screen, they're usually really beautiful looking women who use some kind of seductive power to influence something to their liking. And I was like, it would be a really cool music video because you'd be obviously singing as them, but this song is about that influence that you have. So I was kind of like, oh, that would be interesting to discuss through the media of a music video, in which generally, again, people are made to look really attractive and seductive, and like, you know, you'd want to meet them because they look powerful, they look wealthy, and their videos are high budget and they look really attractive. So it was like, that would be an interesting comparison to make. So that's my pitched music video for the song. Okay, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, and I apologise. A bit of J-pop from Yawasabi, maybe? The song is called Monster. Apparently they're growing in Japanese fame, and yeah, it's great. Then we have Talk Me Out of It by Olivia Holt. Olivia Holt is Disney alumni, so that's how I got into her. I think one of my favourite songs is Generous, and I love that song. That song is so fun and so catchy and upbeat. It's great. Then we have Emma Stevens. Emma Stevens is a British singer-songwriter. I would say she's very much the British Taylor Swift in terms of sound, but it's kind of younger Taylor Swift. She's quite folky and really positive. I love listening to her, particularly in 2020, because she's just been so uplifting, and so she's got a new sound in 2020 and going into 2021, which I personally love. It's a lot more towards the pop side of things, and that's never a bad thing for me. That's better. When the Lights Go Out by Gabrielle Aplin. She has also gone to the popper side of things with her last album, which I believe was released a couple of years ago now, and it's great, and this song just sounds like a continuation of that. Again, it came out this year, so it's nice to have some nice songs already that are being released. Come on, no, up you come. Yes, silly thing. That's better. Hello, I'm back, sorry. So then we have Good Day Days, Bad Days, which I again discovered is a Gabrielle Aplin and Anna Straker song, which I think I must have overlooked last year. And that's quite good too. Evanescence have a new album coming out called The Bitter Truth, and from what I've heard of it so far, I love it. It's so Evanescence, and also kind of new, so that's really cool. Jessie Ware is probably my biggest artist that I've gotten into this week, just because I've added both her albums, Glass House and What's Your Pleasure. I heard a song from Glass House at work being played called My Domino, and really I just fell in love with the sound, and yeah, 2 albums that I would say are very solid, and I look forward to listening to them properly because I think they're going to become a pop staple for me. New Year by Dotter. Dotter has released several songs over the last couple of years. One of note for me was Backfire last year, was really good. I love that song, it's so catchy. This one's slower and a little bit more, I think I would describe it as more ambient. What I really love is that there's so many textures to her songs, and they're so lyrical. They're just beautiful. Then we have Benjamin Ingrosso, who is a Swedish singer, and I believe he also writes, so singer, songwriter. He represented Eurovision a couple of years ago. This newer song, Only Your Heart. If you think Swedish Europop, I think you'll like this. This is really good, but it's not... It's also mature. It doesn't sound like just another Eurovision thing. To me, it's a very solid pop production. It's great. Strangers in the Dark by Delaney Jane, again, to me, sounds kind of mature, kind of... 2020's pop is definitely still here, and I'm still glad because I'm enjoying the Dua Lipa kind of funky disco sound that we had last year, but I very much enjoy a good synth and a good, like, I don't know, they use different chords, okay, and it yeah. Problems by Anne Marie is a great song. It's very... I don't know, I've just recently re-added this one, so it may take me a couple of listens to work out what it's actually about, because often I feel like I'll add songs and then I'll be listening to them over the week and then be like, oh, I'm taking that one out because I'm not actually convinced that I like that one as much as I thought I did when I added it. But I was kind of pulled in by the sound of this because it's very sonically, it changes, and there's a really interesting hook actually in the chorus which I really like, so that's cool. Lucy Spagan is releasing an album in February, and I cannot wait. All the songs I've heard from this so far I've loved and have been fairly varied stylistically, I think. This is definitely still within, if you know of Lucy Spagan, her last album was Today Was a Good Day, which was such a nice album and such a departure from her earlier stuff. This sounds like more of a gap, more of the bridge between the two. Obviously a lot of stuff has gone on in her personal life and she's writing about it, and what I love is that she's always authentic and true to herself in that moment, wherever that moment may be. Avril Lavigne, We Are Warriors, I believe is a song off of her last album, Head Above Water, that has been rewritten for 2020 and for the global pandemic. I was enjoying listening to this lyrically, so I thought I'd add it. Again, it's something that I kind of missed. She also has a song out with Mod Sun called Flames, which I was intrigued when it said Mod Sun was an emo rapper. I was like, what does that even mean? But it's actually, I quite enjoy it as a song. I don't think it has too much of a message, and it's certainly not too... It's certainly very emotional, and it's certainly a song that I think Avril Lavigne has had a lot of hand in penning. It sounds a lot like her, or maybe Mod Sun wrote it and was like, oh, hey, this sounds really Avril Lavigne, maybe I should see if she wants to collab. Or maybe the two know each other. The single cover is great as well. She has multicolored hair extensions, which I'm definitely a fan of. The deluxe version of Evermore by Taylor Swift has finally come to Apple Music, which I had my theories that it probably would. If you don't know me, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. There are 2 bonus tracks on this record, as there were with the last one, called Right Where You Left Me and It's Time to Go, and I think these are 2 of the strongest tracks on the album for me. I love Right Where You Left Me. So It's Time to Go is a really interesting one lyrically, because it's very much, to me at least, about sometimes walking away and saying it's over and I have to move on is the stronger, braver thing to do. Like, there's particularly a line in here where she says, trying to stay for the kids when keeping it how it is will only break their hearts worse. And we often hear that cliche of, oh, I need to stay together with my partner for my kids, but you kind of have to think, what am I bringing them up into? I'm bringing them up into relationships that don't work, and let's not romanticize bad relationships. So it's about, like, the easiest choice not always being the right one, and sometimes the harder choice, and the choice to give up is sometimes the right thing to do. It's not always healthy to cling on to things. It's not always healthy to stay in the same chapter of your life when you feel like things could be better. Then we have A Man's World by Marina, and this got a Muna makeover, a remix by Muna. 2 bands that I love. I love Marina and I love Muna. So it's interesting. I much prefer the verses to what they do with the drop. Like, I feel like the drop really doesn't do the song justice. But I loved going back and listening to this song, and this is very much a song for me that someone in my life has been like, oh, I don't like it lyrically, and it's been one of those things where generally if someone tells me they don't like a song, I automatically assume that I shouldn't like it because they don't, which has become a bit of a problem for me. I'll usually delete songs on playlists based on this person's view of them, and I'm like, no, I'm keeping this one. I like this song a lot, and I like the remix. I like what they've done, especially with the verse parts. I think the choruses will grow on me, plus I think it makes it much more of a dance number, which is a little bit more my style. Rancho Catastrophe is an interesting one. It's an album by Terra Jr., and I discovered Terra Jr. last year. Honestly, her voice is really interesting, and I sort of see her as a almost Kim Petras in production. She's very, very pop, sometimes leaning on the dancey EDM side of things, but it's wonderful. I think the album, as I listened to it, like, I only had a quick flick through everything. What I didn't like so much was the overuse of, like, that auto-tune effect going into overdrive, but I really want to listen to lyrics because I know that lyrically she has some really in-depth songs, and there are some towards the end of the album in particular that I'm really interested in, and I think will go on my 2021 playlist. So yeah, that is my Music Friday for you all. That's everything that I have been enjoying this week. I will probably do another one of these depending on whether we want to keep doing this. I don't know whether it's going to become a regular thing. I'm aware that I'm kind of doing a lot of different things at the moment, but really it's just because it's the stuff I'm interested in, and I think I don't want to go solely for one thing and one brand only, because I know it's not a good way of like building an audience in that way. but at the same time I think this has to be reflective of my life because that's what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if there are songs I should listen to. I will, like I said, hopefully put a playlist together on Apple Music by the time this goes up, and then you can share that with me, or I'll leave the details down below of everything that I have listened to. I will see you tomorrow, guys. Have fun. Bye.